So going down this weekend, we got UFC Houston, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. And I am picking Fluffy to win this fight. But I got to be honest. The closer that we get to this fight, I am more worried about my pick. And to be honest, this fight has me stumped. This fight absolutely has me stumped because I see so many ways that this fight can go down. And for me, it just feels like this is Fluffy's fight to lose. He's got all the momentum in the world, an 8-fight win streak. He's showing constant improvements every time we see him step into the octagon. His striking has gotten so much better. He's got this crazy pace. He's absolutely relentless. And it feels like he has the perfect style to be able to go out there and just kind of mow down Sean Strickland and not give him any space to operate, ragdoll him around, and just make it a very difficult night for Sean. But then I go back and I watch some of these Fluffy Hernandez fights. And I see the way that he reacts to body shots. I see the way that Roman Dolidze is finding a lot of success with the jab in round one. And I don't like that, man. I don't like that. Because when we talk about Sean Strickland, I know he's a jab and teep merchant. Right? Stands in that Philly shell, iCarly-like stance, just kind of moseys forward on the front foot, plays a pick and poke kind of game. You can say whatever you want about Strickland. I think he's got the best jab in the UFC. I think he's got one of the best jabs in the sport. And if you do not have an answer for the Strickland jab, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a very, very long night. And as much as I feel like Fluffy has improved on the feet, he is not better than Sean Strickland. He's not better than Strickland. And it's also the fact that Fluffy Hernandez stands very bladed and does not have an answer for low kicks whatsoever. But the good thing is we don't see Sean Strickland really ever throw low kicks. Do we see him break it out in this fight? Maybe. That'd be a smart strategy from Strickland. But to me, it's really going to be a battle of who imposes their will on the other. Who is able to be on the front foot, pushing the pace, moving forward. That is the fighter that is going to win this fight. Because both of these guys do not fight very well moving backwards. Right? We know what Sean Strickland wants to do. He wants to mosey forward, bury those front kicks into your midsection, take some wind out of the sails, stop your forward momentum, jab your face up, make it hard for you to breathe, annoy the heck out of you with the jab, keep it very busy, and he throws it so nicely, man. He just rips that thing out there. Sometimes it's kind of soft, other times, boom, speed jab, other times a power jab, and he just changes things up to where it becomes very difficult to deal with. We have seen that jab get to some of the better strikers in this weight class. Alex Pereira, right? I know that Poatan was able to land that left hook that brutally KO'd Strickland, but Strickland was jabbing him up. He was jabbing up Adesanya. He was jabbing up Nasruddin Imavov, which, by the way, I feel like that has aged to probably be Strickland's best win, and Strickland took that fight on short notice. I know that it was up a weight class. Imavov was expecting a different opponent, but that was still a very impressive win. That was an impressive win. And to me, Sean Strickland has clearly fought the better competition. Now, what I find interesting is they both have fought Brendan Allen, right? And Sean Strickland fought him, I think it was back in 2020. Yeah, and he knocked him out in the second round, right? And you looked at how Sean Strickland was on the back foot a lot in that fight, and he was still able to tag up Brendan Allen. But obviously, that's not the same Brendan Allen that we're seeing today, right? But you saw Brendan Allen trying to close down Strickland, trying to get a hold of him, and Strickland's a hard guy to deal with. Right, and then when you watch Fluffy Hernandez fight Brendan Allen, they fought twice. They fought before the UFC, and then recently they fought in the UFC, and Fluffy Hernandez just out-dogged him. Took him down, was able to control him, was able to out-grapple him. We saw some beautiful transitions in the grappling. We saw Fluffy have a little bit of success on the feet as well. Right, but when I look at this matchup, to me, it's just like, is Fluffy going to be able to just go out there and mow down Sean Strickland? Hold him down, keep him down and control him for 25 minutes? We really haven't seen anybody do that to Sean. And I know since Strickland has been at middleweight, you could say, well, what's the best grappler that he's faced? And the answer is he hasn't really fought a really good grappler. Right, and I kind of argue and push back on people that say, well, Strickland's got this unstoppable brick wall takedown defense. No, he doesn't. Sean Strickland is actually a pretty easy guy to take down because of the way that he stands. He's got that Muay Thai stance where he's very square, standing straight up in the air, which is very beneficial on the feet to check leg kicks and to be able to operate the way he does. But it's actually very easy to get in on his hips and take him down. We saw DDP take him down very, very easily. But it's the challenge of holding down Strickland, That's a totally different ballgame. One of the hardest guys to hold down, I think, in the sport right now. But to me, this is so interesting because we have not seen Sean go in there against a guy that I know is going to go after him and try to take him down numerous times. That is what Fluffy is going to do. We know what Fluffy is going to do. And what we've seen from Sean Strickland is if guys can put him on the back foot and dictate the pace and gain Strickland's respect early on, they seem to control the fight, right? When you look back at the Jared Cannonier versus Strickland fight, that was a very close fight. But at the end of the day, I feel like the judges rewarded Jared Cannonier for being the one that was moving forward, pushing the pace, and just throwing things out there, where Strickland becomes very, very complacent, and he kind of it turns into a sparring match, where you put him on the back foot, he's kind of just jabbing and teeping and moving, and there's not a lot going on when Cannonier's moving forward, throwing all these big, wild shots, and it's giving the judges a lot more to score while he's the one moving forward. Now, I will say Strickland was tagging him up with the jab, and I feel like that is going to be his best friend in this matchup. Fluffy does not have particularly good striking defense. And I think Strickland is going to pepper him with the jab. And then eventually that right hand down the pipe will follow. Now, for some reason, Strickland has good technique on the straight punches with the 1-2. He fires that right hand beautifully. We saw him land that on Israel Adesanya beautifully. But for some reason, Strickland tends to resort to this ooga booga mode where he forgets the technique and throws these flailing punches and these arm shots that just have zero sting on them whatsoever. And he gets very, very sloppy. Right? And if you're going to do that against Fluffy Hernandez, that's going to give Fluffy those opportunities to dip underneath, shoot in on the hips, and get you down. And while I think that Fluffy is going to have success with the grappling, my biggest question is he going to be able to keep Sean Strickland down? And that is what I don't know. That's what I don't know. Because we saw DDP easily take Sean down. And I think Fluffy is a much better overall grappler than Dricus. And Fluffy is not going to slow down. He will stay on that pace for 25 minutes. But what happens when Strickland starts ripping those front kicks to the body? What happens when he starts busting up the nose and affecting the breathing and swelling the lips of Fluffy? Right? We've seen Fluffy Hernandez in the past, right? That's why when he started to ride on this win streak, I'm like, hold on, man, pump the brakes a little bit here. I feel like people are starting to overrate this guy a little bit. Now, what he's been doing recently, like I don't feel that Fluffy is overrated. I feel like he is very much worthy of the hype because he looks like an absolute nightmare to deal with. But this is a guy that, don't forget, got starched by Kevin Holland, got beaten up by Kevin Holland. And I know that was Kevin Holland when he actually, was showing up and cared and I guess was in his prime and all that kind of stuff. And yes, Fluffy has gotten much better since then. But I'm telling you right now, I've seen in that Michel Pereira fight, when you land shots to the body on Fluffy Hernandez, he does not have a particularly good reaction. And I understand, you get hit to the body. What do you expect him to just eat it like a brick or something? Like, I understand getting hit to the body sucks. But certain guys have different reactions. And to me, Fluffy has one of those worrisome reactions. When he gets tagged to the body, you can notice that it bothers him. And if you do that in a fight against Sean Strickland, that has me worried. Because Sean Strickland's front kicks, I know, he's jamming and teeping and not doing a whole lot. But you got to remember, if you don't go after Sean Strickland, it's going to be a boring fight. That's just the reality. Look at the Paulo Costa fight. Paulo Costa was on his bike moving for 25 minutes. Strickland was just complacent, walking forward, doing next to nothing. Not doing a whole lot, right? But when you get guys that go after Sean, like DDP did in the first fight, like Jared Cannonier did in their fight, we see Strickland have to bite down and try to make some things happen. Look at the Imavov fight as well. If you make Sean Strickland fight, he'll do it. Right? Obviously, in the last fight against DDP, that was embarrassing. I don't know what went on in that fight. And I know that they're kind of alluding to something was not right with Strickland in that fight. I mean, he didn't do anything to try to gain DDP's respect. He went in there and tried to basically do the exact same thing he did in the first fight. And DDP, to me, just kind of defeated Sean before they even stepped into the octagon. But to me, there's no real banter going on here. It's not like Strickland's going to come in with this weight on his shoulders where him and DDP are talking trash and Dricus is in his head, right? Because I do think that was a big factor here. This, to me, is going to be kind of a gentleman's, like, we're just going to get in there and duke it out. And while I think that Fluffy has all the momentum, and I think that he has all the tools to beat Sean Strickland, it is very rare that we see a fighter go in there and look really good against Sean Strickland. Even when guys beat him, it's never like a super clean performance. It just isn't, right? Obviously, Poatan knocked him out, right? DDP beat him, in the second time, and Strickland was just, I don't know what he was doing. But in most Strickland fights, even if you beat Strickland, It's not like you went out there and put on some sort of world-class performance. You usually, you got to work for it because of his style. And I know that a lot of the Strickland fights, they can end up being boring. I don't anticipate this one to be boring because of the fact that we know Fluffy is going to come after him, and Fluffy has a high output. He's got very, very high output, and his boxing seems to be improving from fight to fight, and he's going to want to push the pace, get in the face of Sean Strickland, not stand on the outside to where Strickland can get the front kicks and the jab going. Because I know Strickland's got this basic style, jab and teep, jab and teep. But when you're going up against a grappler that's going to try to mow you down and is going to look to be super aggressive, those are valuable weapons. Those are very valuable weapons. And Sean Strickland has been preparing for most of his career to deal with guys that are going to try to grapple him. Because on the feet, he's a hard guy to deal with. We even see him give pretty stylish strikers a very difficult time. Look at the Imava fight. Look at the Adesanya fight. And if Fluffy Hernandez is not able to get on the front foot and push Sean Strickland back against the octagon side and keep him kind of in this phone booth type of range, Fluffy's going to struggle, man. He's absolutely going to struggle. Now, the good thing for Fluffy is the fact that Strickland does not have good footwork whatsoever. He basically just kind of marches around the octagon. He doesn't have good lateral movement. He's very linear, in and out, straightforward, not super explosive, doesn't have crazy power, but it's a slow burning effect. It's like, just chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away. And if you do not have an answer to solve the Strickland jab, you're going to be dealing with some issues. And then when the jab is firing and then the teep starts, ripping into the midsection, how's that going to affect Fluffy? Because I know Fluffy's gas tank is great, but we haven't really seen guys really go after his body. And I know that Sean Strickland is going to do that in this fight because he jabs and teeps. He jabs and teeps. And I think that on the feet, Strickland obviously has very good defense. He's a hard guy to hit clean. Obviously, the low output and kind of just fighting behind the jab doesn't open him up to really being countered. But Fluffy's not one of these guys like an Imava that's going to be able to slip a jab and rip a crazy right hand over the top. Right? I don't know that, Fluffy's just going to move forward and he's just going to throw a bunch of volume, right? And Strickland's going to be trying to find the jab in between, trying to sneak a right hand in there, ripping those, front kicks to try to stop the forward momentum of Fluffy Hernandez. This fight's fascinating to me. People are saying, this is such a boring fight, and man, I don't want to see it. I think this is a great fight, and I don't anticipate this fight to be boring whatsoever. I think that this is going to be a very competitive fight, and I expect Sean Strickland to probably win the first round. I think Strickland's going to start fast. He's going to look to take the center, put Fluffy on the back foot, fire off his weapons, and try to really discourage Fluffy Hernandez right away. And that'd be smart of Sean Strickland. And I think that throwing leg kicks would be very smart for Sean in this fight because of the fact that Fluffy stands very bladed, very wide, and does not defend kicks well whatsoever. Roman Dolidze was ripping his lead leg apart. Brendan Allen was ripping Fluffy's lead leg apart. But we have seen that when guys can put Strickland on the back foot, they can move forward, they can throw volume out there, they can continue to push a pace for 25 minutes. That is where Strickland tends to have some issues. If you could get in his face and not allow him to fight this pretty style of fight, that's where Strickland tends to thrive. If you allow him to kind of fight at his pace, have this sparring match-like, pace where it's kind of you go, I go, here's my jab, here's a front kick, and you let him kind of pick you apart and kind of play this chess game. Fluffy Hernandez, I don't anticipate is going to do that, which is why I think that he's going to win this fight, but I think it's going to be tough. So my scenarios, the way I see this going, is Strickland wins the first round. He starts to get the jab going, starts to get the front kicks going, and then you're going to see Hernandez start to really ramp it up. And it's not even the fact that Fluffy necessarily has to take him down and cause a crazy amount of damage. It's introducing it into the fight early to make Strickland worry about it. And Strickland is already one of those guys that if you can put him on the back foot, you can land a decent shot on him. If you mix in the grappling and you make him think more, he's already a guy that sometimes can get into that coast mode where not a ton of output is coming from Strickland. So for me in this fight, Strickland maybe wins the first round. We see Fluffy start to turn it up a little bit. Maybe Sean takes another round somewhere in there. But I think if Fluffy wins this fight, it's going to be a very close decision. I think that this is a close fight, man. And if Sean Strickland can keep his back off the octagon side, he could dictate the pace. He could get the front kicks going, tear Fluffy up with the jab, fire the right hand behind it, and start to find a way to get to Fluffy Hernandez and not allow him to put this crazy pace on him. I think Sean Strickland can definitely go out here and win a decision because, like I said, While Fluffy has all the momentum, while he's made all these improvements, Sean has been in there with the best guys in this weight class where I don't think Hernandez has. I will say that last performance that, in the second Brendan Allen fight in the UFC that Fluffy had, that was very impressive because we've seen how good Brendan Allen is. Look what he was able to do to Marvin Vettori and pick him apart, and I get it out of the Vettori fight. It doesn't mean a whole lot now. But look what Brendan Allen just did to RDR. And I know, RDR was too active in the weight cuts. Brendan Allen looked great in that fight. Brendan Allen is a really good grappler. So if you're out grappling Brendan Allen and you're landing some shots on the feet, I would like to think that you're going to be able to find some grappling success against Sean Strickland. So for me, I feel like Fluffy wins this fight, but I think that it is going to be very, very close. And I think that Hernandez, in order to have success standing with Strickland, he's going to have to grapple and make him tired. Because while Strickland does have a good gas tank, that is typically when he's in there having a back and forth striking battle for 25 minutes. But if you mix in the wrestling, if you make him work to get back up, you wear on him and you kind of hold him down and make him have to use energy to get back to his feet, we do see Strickland tend to breathe quite a bit heavier. We saw that in the Drickus fights, right? And I feel like that was a good switch up by DDP to kind of just mix it up and make Strickland a little bit more hesitant. So for me, it's a close fight. I definitely could see Strickland winning it with the jabs, the front kick, getting the right hand going, getting Fluffy on the back foot, not allowing him to push the pace. But I ultimately feel like it is going to be the output. It's going to be the relentless pursuit that Fluffy has. He will have some success with the grappling, and you can't just explode back to your feet if you're Strickland, because we have seen Fluffy does a great job at hopping on your back and creating opportunities in scrambles with his submissions. It's not like Fluffy's just some straight wrestler here. He has legit submission skills, and I feel like that is a little bit of an X factor in this matchup to maybe worry Strickland instead of just exploding right back to his feet. It's something that he has to worry about constantly in the back of his mind. So I give the striking advantage to Strickland, and I think that he is far sophisticated on the feet compared to Fluffy Hernandez. I know when you watch Strickland, it's not always the most exciting thing, but this guy knows what he's doing on the feet, man. The jab is nasty. When he throws the straight right hand, it's got some sting, and those front kicks can be a very, very annoying to deal with, and they can take wind out of the sail. They can slow you down. I think that is going to be Sean's game plan in this fight, and it's going to be on Fluffy to not allow those front kicks to just rip at will. You got to have an answer for the jab, because if you can't get past the Strickland jab, it's going to be a tough night for Fluffy Hernandez. But I think that he finds an answer, puts a pace on him, like what we've seen in the DDP fights, like what we've seen in the Jared Cannonier fights. Get on the front foot. Don't allow Sean all this opportunity to kind of think and operate. Get after him, put him in a blender, and then just cause chaos. And I think that is what Fluffy is ultimately going to do to win this fight. I'm going to say 3-2. I think that this is a close fight, man. I feel like the people that are writing off Strickland, I don't feel like you could do that in this fight, because while Strickland, maybe he's dropped a few fights here and there, those are against some of the best guys in the world. And Fluffy, 8 wins in a row. And by the way, how many fights have kind of fallen apart for Fluffy throughout his career, man? People want to talk about other fighters. This is a dude that I looked on Tapology. It feels like every other fight there's a cancellation, there's a this, there's a that. But I mean, ripping wins off against Kopylov, Michel Pereira, Brendan Allen. The Roman Dolidze fight was crazy. The fact that he big dogged him like that, ragdolled him around, dominated him, I thought that it was unbelievably impressive. But my biggest thing with Fluffy, he gets better and better every single time. He has not been where Sean Strickland has already been. To me, there's more motivation on the side of Hernandez. What is Sean's motivation coming into this? He spent some time away, had a disastrous performance in the rematch against DDP. How does he bounce back in this fight? Does he come out here and do kind of what he did to Abus Magomedov, right? I'm not saying that Fluffy's going to fade like that, but kind of take some early punishment and then start to find success, start to melt Fluffy with his own pressure, right? Because I don't think that we've seen Fluffy in there with a guy that can also put a pace on you and has no problem marching forward and kind of playing that kind of game. So for me, this is going to come down to the fighter that's moving forward, the one that's advancing, the one that's controlling the pace. And I feel like that is going to be more oftentimes than not Fluffy Hernandez. And it's not like if you're Strickland, you just get taken down that, I could just explode back to my feet. Fluffy has good jiu-jitsu, man. He blends the wrestling and jiu-jitsu very well. His striking, while I don't think it's the best, it has clearly improved. We saw it in the Dolidze fight, and if he starts to get going, it is a snowball effect where he builds, and then it just becomes a serious problem. And for me, I just feel like Strickland at some point is going to resort to that coast mode to where Fluffy does something to make him a little extra tired, lands a shot, does something to gain his respect that then makes him kind of fall back into that turtle mode of cruise control and just jabbing and teeping and, not really doing a whole lot. And then it's going to be the advancing and the output of Fluffy that is going to get this one done. But I think that this is a close fight, man. Strickland, to me, has all of the tools to go out here and pull off this upset because I feel like the line is a little wild, right? It looks like Fluffy is a pretty big favorite, which I find that kind of surprising, right? Because I know that Strickland, but he's been fighting the better competition. He's been fighting the better competition. For me, it just comes down to what version of Sean Strickland do we see? Do we see a not young, but do we see a motivated, he's still kind of young, but do we see a motivated version of Strickland? Or is this just going to be some guy that's like, I'm just going to show up and paycheck, see what happens here? Because if that's what happens, Fluffy is definitely going to win this fight. But if Strickland comes in with a point to prove, he's like, hey man, look at this division right now. If I could go out here, here's the thing, you guys, if I could go out here and beat Fluffy Hernandez, maybe I can skip over Imavov or something and slide in there and fight Chimaev at the White House or something, right? Because him and Chimaev got beef and, I don't know. I'm not saying that should happen. I'm just saying from the UFC, the way that they've been booking these title fights, I feel like anything is possible. So to me, there's a lot at stake in this main event because it's very possible that the winner could possibly fight Khamzat Chimaev next. I feel like it should be Imavov, but given what we've seen from the UFC recently, you never know when it comes to these title fights. So final prediction. I got Fluffy Hernandez by decision, but I feel like if Sean Strickland shows up motivated and he opens up and actually comes to fight, because I know that Hernandez is going to come after him, which then means Strickland should open up and fight back. And if he does that in this fight, I give him a very good chance to win. And if Fluffy doesn't have an answer for the jab and the front kicks, he will absolutely lose this fight. But like I said, Strickland has very good grappling defense, right? But we have seen he gets taken down, but he's a hard guy to hold down. I don't imagine that Fluffy will control him for a large majority of the fight. I think it will be a Merab-like fight from Hernandez. Takedown. He pops back up. Take him down again. Land a couple shots on the feet. Take him down again. Shoot for a takedown. Defend. Oh, and it's just going to be this constant storm and pressure from Hernandez that is going to get this one done. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think Strickland is winning? Or are you riding with Fluffy Hernandez in this fight? And if you are new, if you could subscribe to the channel so you do not miss an upload, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you next time.